All right, so get this. We are going deep into language learning today.
Ooh, fun.
But not like, boring old school stuff. We're talking about how to, how to actually become fluent.
Yes.
Like imagine yourself, I don't know, in a Parisian cafe, finally understanding,
Ordering that perfect croissant.
ordering that perfect croissant, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like you're at like a Comic-Con in Tokyo.
Oh, cool.
You can, geek out with people in Japanese.
Awesome.
Yeah, or even,
Just impressing someone special.
okay, yes,
Yeah.
impressing that Tinder date
With some smooth Italian.
with some smooth Italian. Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how many people think that, learning a language has to be all like
Oh, I know.
textbooks and just like
So rigid. Yeah.
rigid, boring. Yeah.
But actually, our brains, they're made for this.
They are?
We just have to like work with them, not against them.
Exactly.
So less textbook, more brain power.
Yes.
I like it. So what's the first myth we need to bust here?
Oh, definitely the grammar obsession.
Okay.
So many people get stuck in this like loop of memorizing grammar rules, and they think that they can't speak until they've got every single verb conjugation down pat.
Oh yeah, like I need to know all the rules before I can even open my mouth.
Exactly.
But think about it. Like how did we learn our first language?
Yeah.
Did we like analyze verb tenses before we could speak?
Not at all. It was all about
No way.
mimicking, just trying things out, making a mess with the sounds until it started to make sense.
Yeah, it was like a beautiful mess.
Exactly.
So are you saying like chuck the grammar books out the window?
Not necessarily grammar. Grammar has its place.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be the barrier to actually speaking.
Right.
So instead of, cramming all the rules up front,
Yeah.
focus on patterns.
Okay.
Our brains are amazing at picking up patterns, just through listening, music, podcasts, even watching shows with subtitles.
Oh, subtitles. That's a good one.
Yeah, the grammar will kind of click into place more naturally that way.
It's like, when you suddenly realize you've been using a grammar rule perfectly
Yeah,
and you didn't even know the name for it.
exactly.
That's a good feeling, right? But okay, so speaking of getting hands-on,
Yes.
another mistake is waiting way too long to actually speak the language.
Oh, all the time.
Right. I remember when I first started learning Japanese, I was so self-conscious.
Oh, I bet.
I would like practice ordering food in my head for weeks
Wow.
before I could actually like talk to a human.
I see that so much, and it's really a shame because speaking, even if it's not perfect, is the fastest way to get fluent and to build that confidence.
Right.
Think about it. Every mistake you make is actually like a learning opportunity.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's feedback that you just wouldn't get from staring at a textbook.
It's true. It's like stage fright.
Yeah.
The more you avoid the spotlight, the scarier it gets. But then, like, once you take that leap,
Yeah.
you realize, like, people are usually pretty cool about it.
Yeah, they want to help.
They want to help. They're encouraging.
Exactly.
And then the fear kind of melts away.
It does.
So speaking of getting out there, wouldn't you say that real-world immersion
Oh, absolutely.
is like
smart.
way better than just memorizing vocabulary lists?
100%. While vocabulary is important, cramming those giant lists,
It's overwhelming.
it's overwhelming and it's not that efficient.
Right.
Real immersion is about surrounding yourself with the language in an authentic way.
Okay. Yeah.
Listening to music podcasts, watching
Yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
even like changing your phone settings.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, you're basically training your brain to think in that language,
Okay.
which is way more powerful than just, rote memorization.
So it's not just about like knowing the words.
Right.
It's about living, like making them part of your life.
Exactly.
This reminds me of a study I read
Oh, yeah.
where they compared like traditional classroom learning with immersive experiences.
Okay.
And the immersive group, even though they spent less time like quote unquote studying,
Interesting.
they actually ended up with better fluency and pronunciation.
That makes sense.
Right. It's like
When you're immersed, you're constantly coming across new vocabulary,
Whoa.
grammar, but it's all in context.
Right,
So
okay.
it's more meaningful.
Okay.
It's more memorable, and there's this emotional connection.
I like that, yeah.
You're not just learning words, you're experiencing the culture,
You're living it.
connecting with people, creating memories that are actually tied to the language.
It's powerful stuff.
Ah,
Okay, so we've busted some myths.
we have.
We've talked about, embracing imperfection,
Yes.
diving headfirst into the language.
Love it.
But before we go full immersion,
Yeah.
what about setting ourselves up for success?
Okay.
because, becoming fluent,
Right.
that just feels like this huge, like,
Daunting.
daunting, yes, mountain to climb.
It is a big goal.
Yeah, how do we break that down?
That's where SMART goals come in.
Okay, SMART goals.
So forget those vague aspirations. We need specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound targets.
Oh, okay. So instead of saying, I want to be fluent in Spanish,
Right.
I'd say something like, I want to be able to have a basic conversation about my hobbies
Yeah.
with a language partner by the end of the month.
Exactly.
That's a good one. That feels
Much more concrete.
much more concrete. Yeah. And there's something about, like, writing it down, making it official.
Absolutely. It makes it real.
Yeah.
It solidifies your commitment, and it creates a roadmap to fluency.
Like a step-by-step guide.
Yeah, and plus, when you break down a big goal like that into smaller milestones,
Yeah.
you get those little wins along the way,
Okay. Yeah.
which keeps you motivated.
It's like those little dopamine hits.
Exactly.
It keeps you going.
It does.
So instead of focusing on the summit of the mountain,
Right.
we're celebrating each base camp along the way.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like a mental shift.
It is.
Now that we've laid the groundwork,
Yes.
let's get tactical.
Okay.
What are some, like, actual tools and techniques?
Okay, let's start with a classic.
Okay.
Flashcards.
Flashcards. Oh, yeah.
They're simple,
Old school.
but they're incredibly effective for building vocabulary
Yeah.
and, more importantly, for leveraging the power of spaced repetition.
Spaced repetition.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that term.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Okay, so essentially it's about timing your review sessions strategically
Okay.
to really optimize how well you remember things.
Oh,
So think about it like this.
yeah.
You're trying to remember a phone number.
Okay.
If you just repeat it over and over and over for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
and then never look at it again, chances are you're going to forget it
Oh, for sure.
pretty quickly.
I do that with my grocery list.
Ex-
So I see the problem here.
Yeah, but with spaced repetition, you space out those review sessions.
Okay.
So you revisit the information at longer and longer intervals.
Okay.
And this helps to solidify the connections in your brain
Oh.
and move that knowledge from short-term memory to long-term memory.
So it's not about cramming.
Yeah.
It's about, like, strategic reminders.
Exactly.
to your brain.
Just when it's about to forget.
Oh, that's sneaky,
Yeah.
but brilliant.
And the great thing is there are tons of flashcard apps out there
Oh, really?
that use these spaced repetition algorithms.
Okay.
So it takes the guesswork out of scheduling your study sessions.
Oh, nice.
But even with, traditional paper flashcards, the
Yeah.
key is to make them engaging.
Right, because I get bored just staring at words on paper.
Yeah, so get creative.
Okay.
Use images, draw silly pictures, create outlandish sentences.
Oh, okay.
Record yourself saying the words in different accents, you
Yeah.
know? The more you personalize those flashcards,
Yeah.
the more likely you are to remember them.
It's like turning vocabulary into a game.
Exactly.
Okay. And speaking of making language learning more playful,
Yes.
what about this technique called shadowing?
Oh, shadowing is it's like becoming a language ninja.
Ooh, a language ninja. I like it.
You listen to a native speaker
Okay.
and you try to mimic their pronunciation, their rhythm, their intonation as closely as possible.
Wow.
Almost like you're their shadow.
So I'm basically becoming their vocal doppelganger.
Exact.
That sounds like it could get hilarious.
It can be.
Especially if I pick someone with, like, a super fast talking accent.
Oh, yeah. Embrace the awkwardness.
I like it.
It might feel strange at first,
Okay.
but shadowing is incredibly effective for training your mouth muscles,
Okay.
developing that natural flow.
It's like a workout for your tongue.
Exactly.
I can just picture our listeners right now
Yeah.
shadowing this podcast.
That's great.
I love it. It's a great way to practice with any audio you enjoy.
It is.
And speaking of which,
Yes.
we have so many more techniques to cover.
Oh, we do.
From mnemonics to role-playing.
So much to talk about.
And even, like, a deep dive into the emotional side of language learning.
Yes.
But we're going to save all those gems
For next time.
for our next segment.
Welcome back, everyone. So before the break, we were talking about those hands-on tools like flashcards and shadowing.
Right. Getting down to business.
Exactly. But let's be honest, sometimes those vocabulary words they just don't want to stick.
So totally. It's like my brain has this special talent for remembering, like, the most random trivia.
Yeah.
But then the crucial verb, I need to order coffee, it's poof, gone.
It's so
So
frustrating.
is there a secret weapon for those moments?
There is. Remember how we talked about making those flashcards really engaging?
Yeah, yeah, get creative.
That same principle applies to memorizing vocabulary in general. The more vivid, the more multisensory the connection, the better your brain will hold on to it.
Okay, I'm listening.
And that's where mnemonics come in.
Ah, mnemonics, those memory tricks.
Exact.
I have to admit, sometimes they're so out there, I end up remembering the mnemonic better than the actual word.
That's the goal.
Okay, I see. So it's like giving your brain a little hook to hang the memory on.
Exactly. And there's actual science behind why they work.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
So mnemonics, they tap into how our brains naturally form memories.
Okay.
By creating these vivid multisensory associations.
Right.
You're hacking your brain's encoding process.
Whoa, brain hacking. I like it.
Making that information stickier, easier to recall.
So it's not just about, like, repeating the word a million times.
Yeah.
It's about using your imagination.
Exactly.
Tapping into your creativity. It's like turning language learning into a game.
Exactly. And that's what makes it more enjoyable and more effective.
Okay, so what are your tips for, like, crafting these killer mnemonics?
Don't be afraid to get personal.
Personal. Okay.
The more you can connect the word to your own life, your own memories, your own inside jokes, the more meaningful it'll be.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. We're all different.
Exactly. Experiment with different techniques, rhymes, songs, visual imagery, even associating words with smells or sounds.
Wow, smells and sounds. That's interesting.
It can be really powerful.
Okay, so find what works for you and have fun with it.
Exactly.
It's like giving yourself permission to be a kid again.
Yes.
Playing with language, making it come alive.
I love that.
But even with all the mnemonics in the world,
Yeah.
there comes a point where we have to actually use the language, right?
Absolutely. Knowing a language and using it in real life are two very different things.
Right. That's like you can know all the ingredients,
Yeah.
but you still have to bake the cake.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's where role-playing comes in.
Role playing. Okay, now this I have to hear more about.
So think of it as a language simulation.
Okay.
You create scenarios that you might encounter in real life.
Right.
Like ordering food, asking for directions, maybe even having a job interview.
Okay, yeah.
And you practice those conversations in your target language.
So I'm basically acting out my travel dreams before I even book the plane ticket.
Exactly.
I like it.
And the beauty of role-playing is that it helps you bridge the gap between knowing the grammar, knowing the vocabulary,
Yeah.
and actually using them spontaneously.
It's like taking your language skills for a test drive.
Exactly.
And the cool thing is there are so many ways to practice role playing.
There are.
You can find a language partner, join an online group, even use those AI chatbots.
Oh, the chatbots, yeah.
Right, to simulate different situations.
Exactly.
And don't underestimate the power of just talking to yourself in the language.
That's a good one.
Right. Just describe your day, narrate your actions, have imaginary conversations.
It all helps.
It's like giving your inner voice a language makeover.
I love it.
Okay, but before we move on to the next big strategy,
Yeah.
I want to talk about something that I think a lot of language learners struggle with.
Okay, what's that?
Consistency.
Ah, consistency, the holy grail of language learning.
It's so easy to get all excited at the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
devour those language apps, dream of those fluent conversations.
I've been there.
But then life happens.
Yeah.
Motivation dips, and suddenly those daily practice sessions are just a distant memory.
It happens to the best of us.
So how do we fight that slump?
That's the million-dollar question. And while there's no magic bullet,
Right?
one of the most effective strategies is to build language learning into your daily routine.
Okay, so like make it a habit.
Exactly. Almost like brushing your teeth or checking your email.
Okay, so less about those like marathon study sessions.
Right.
And more about those bite-sized language snacks throughout the day.
Exactly. Instead of trying to cram an hour of study into your already busy schedule.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Think about how you can sprinkle those micro moments of language learning throughout your day.
Okay, so like listening to a podcast while I'm getting ready in the morning, or reviewing flashcards on my commute,
Yeah,
or even like labeling things around my house with sticky notes.
that's a classic.
Right. I like it.
And remember, consistency doesn't have to mean doing the same thing every day.
Oh, okay, good.
Variety is key.
Variety. Okay.
Experiment with different activities. Find what sparks your joy.
Yeah. Make it fun.
And make it sustainable.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Exactly.
Between challenge and enjoyment.
Push yourself just enough
Right.
to keep progressing, but not so much that it feels like a chore.
Yeah. No one wants that.
And remember, even 5 minutes of focused practice is better than none.
5 minutes.
Okay. It's about building that momentum, creating a positive feedback loop
Okay.
that keeps you motivated and keeps you moving forward.
So it's not about perfection.
No.
It's about progress.
Exactly. Celebrate those small wins.
Yeah. Little victory.
Embrace the messy journey. And remember, fluency is a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, I like that. A marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
And speaking of the emotional side of language learning,
Yeah.
let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about something that often gets overlooked.
What's that?
The fear of making mistakes.
Oh, that dreaded fear.
It can be such a roadblock for people.
It can be paralyzing.
I remember when I first started speaking Japanese, I was so terrified of messing up
Oh, I bet.
that I would literally rehearse entire conversations in my head
Wow.
before I could even speak to someone.
It's so common, and it's understandable.
Right.
We worry about sounding silly, being judged,
Yeah.
not being understood.
Exactly.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Making mistakes is inevitable.
Oh, for sure.
It's part of the process.
It's how we learn.
It's how we identify areas for improvement, how we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone,
Okay.
and ultimately how we grow.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes.
No.
It's about reframing how we view them.
Exactly. Instead of seeing them as failures,
Yeah.
let's see them as opportunities for growth and learning.
I love that.
It's about giving yourself permission to be a beginner.
Yeah.
To embrace that messy, imperfect journey of language learning.
It's all part of the process.
It is.
But even with that mindset shift,
Yeah.
there's still that little voice in my head that's like, what if I sound ridiculous?
Oh, the inner critic.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we quiet that voice?
One of the most effective ways is to shift our focus from ourselves to the connection we're trying to create.
Okay, connection, not perfection.
Exactly. Remember, language is ultimately about communication.
So it's less about sounding perfect
Right.
and more about conveying meaning, building relationships.
Yeah. Exactly. Most native speakers, they appreciate it when they see someone making an effort to learn their language.
Oh, for sure.
Even if it's not perfect, they're often more than happy to help you correct those mistakes.
Yeah, they want to help.
They want to see you succeed.
It's about that shared learning, that cultural exchange.
Exactly.
And let's be real, sometimes those oops moments,
Yeah,
they lead to the best stories.
they do.
Right. And unforgettable memories.
Absolutely. Embrace the awkwardness, laugh at yourself, and remember those stumbles are just stepping stones on the path to fluency.
They are. Okay, now before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to touch on one more emotional aspect of language learning
Okay.
that I think is so important.
Oh, it's not.
Finding your motivation.
Motivation, the fuel that keeps us going.
It's so easy to get caught up in the techniques, the strategies,
Yeah.
but without that underlying drive, that burning why, it's easy to lose steam.
It is. Connecting with your why is so powerful.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
It gives you that sense of purpose, that direction, that resilience when you face challenges.
Okay, so for all our listeners out there, I want you to take a moment and think about why you're learning this language.
Yeah. What sparked your interest?
What are your goals?
What do you hope to achieve?
Maybe you're dreaming of traveling the world, connecting with your heritage,
Advancing your career?
expanding your horizons, whatever it is. Remind yourself of that reason.
Yes. Let it inspire you.
Let it fuel your language learning journey.
It's that passion, that sense of purpose
Yeah.
that will transform language learning from a chore into a truly fulfilling experience.
So well said. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yes.
I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay, I like it.
Take some time today to reflect on your why.
Write it down
Visualize it.
and let it be your guiding star on this incredible language learning adventure,
And remember, language learning is a journey.
not a destination.
It's about embracing the process, celebrating those small wins, and finding joy in connecting with another language and culture.
Beautifully said.
Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore additional resources and tips to help you reach your language goals.
We'll be back after a short break.
Welcome back, language lovers. So we've covered a lot, right?
Yeah.
From busting those myths
Yeah.
to like mnemonics and role-playing,
So many good strategies.
but we're not done yet.
Not even close. We've got a whole toolbox of resources and tips to share.
Okay, so it's like we've given our listeners the map,
Yeah,
And now we're equipping them with like the compass, the backpack,
the survival guide.
the survival guide, yes, for this language learning adventure.
And maybe even some snacks for those long grammar study sessions.
Exactly. Got to stay fueled. So where do we start?
Well, let's dive into the world of language learning apps.
Ooh, the apps. I love a good language app.
There's so many out there.
It's something so satisfying about those like gamified lessons,
Oh, I know, right?
earning points, seeing those streaks.
That's motivating.
It is. And
Yeah.
there's an app for everyone, you know.
Absolutely, from Duolingo to Babbel to Memrise.
Yeah.
There's something for every learning style, every budget.
It's like having a personal tutor in your pocket.
Exactly.
But beyond the apps, there's this whole universe of online platforms too.
Oh, yeah. Sites like italki and Verbling.
Okay.
They connect you with native-speaking tutors from all over the world.
So you can get like personalized lessons and conversation practice.
Exactly. Tailored to your specific goals.
That's awesome. It's like having a language exchange partner and a coach all in one.
All in one.
And speaking of connecting with native speakers,
Yes.
let's not forget about audiobooks and podcasts.
The magic of immersive listening.
It is. It's a fantastic way to train your ear to the natural rhythm of the language
Absolutely. And you're expanding your vocabulary at the same time.
and absorbing those subtle nuances of pronunciation.
It's like osmosis.
It is. Here's a pro tip for our listeners.
Okay, I'm listening.
Find a transcript for the audiobook or podcast you're listening to.
Oh, that's smart.
Right. So you can follow along, look up new words, even practice your shadowing.
It turns passive listening into active learning.
Exactly. It's like a superpower.
It is.
And speaking of active learning and community support,
Yes.
let's not forget about finding those language learning communities.
Oh, so important.
Online and offline.
Yeah, connecting with other learners who are on the same journey.
It's so motivating.
It is. It's like having your own cheerleading squad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sharing those struggles, celebrating those little victories.
It creates that sense of camaraderie.
It does. It makes the whole process more enjoyable.
It does. And whether you join online forums, Facebook groups, or even local meetups,
Yeah.
those connections can provide so much support, accountability.
And a sense of belonging.
Exactly. It's like you're part of something bigger.
It is. It transforms language learning from this solitary thing
Right.
into this shared adventure.
I love that.
And speaking of adventure,
Yes.
let's not forget about the ultimate language learning experience.
What's that?
Traveling to a country where your target language is spoken.
Ah, yes, immersion at its finest.
It is. It's your chance to really put your skills to the test.
Experience the culture firsthand.
Create memories that will last a lifetime.
It's so powerful.
I remember my first trip to Japan.
Oh, tell me about it.
I'd been studying for years,
Wow.
but the moment I stepped off the plane, it was like my brain just like short-circuited.
I can imagine.
But then, slowly but surely,
Yeah,
things started to click into place.
the words came back.
The words came back, and I could navigate the world with this newfound confidence.
Those moments of real-world application are so valuable.
They are,
They solidify your learning, they broaden your understanding of the culture.
and they create this sense of accomplishment.
That fuels your desire to learn even more.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
It is.
But even if you can't hop on a plane right now,
yeah,
there are still ways to create those immersive experiences at home.
absolutely. You can cook traditional dishes, watch foreign films.
Oh, with subtitles.
With subtitles, attend cultural events, even just chat with native speakers online.
Yeah, it's all about finding those creative ways to bring the language to life.
Make it part of your everyday life.
Make it part of your story.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of language learning,
Yes.
I want to leave our listeners with this one final thought.
Okay, I like it.
The most important resource you have
Yeah.
is your own curiosity, your passion, your willingness to embrace this messy, beautiful journey of connecting with another language and culture.
That's beautiful.
Fluency isn't a destination.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. Embrace the ups and downs, celebrate those aha moments, and most importantly, have fun along the way.
Yes, have fun.
Your new language adventure awaits.
Go get 'em.